This past week, World Food Day looked again to raise awareness around crippling food shortages which are facing several communities across the globe. According to Mama's Alliance, which has been working with communities on food gardens, 13 to 15 million people have inadequate access to food. Joining us now is a partnership manager at Mama's Alliance, Calisto Kondowe. Calisto, good to have you in the program this afternoon. Now, 25% of South African children suffering from stunting due to malnutrition. How do home and community gardens, as promoted by Mama's Alliance, contribute to addressing this pressing issue?
Thank you, Nhlanhla. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers. Thank you again for having me. Maybe, Nhlanhla, before I go there, sorry, there is actually a global statistics that I wanted to actually paint a picture as to for us to be able to understand what is actually happening in terms of global poverty. You will see that 700 million people globally, which is actually 10% of people globally, they are suffering from malnutrition, or they are living in extreme poverty. This is quite a huge number. And you look at South Africa, you know, we were just being conservative when we say 13 to 15 million people, but it's actually, from the recent statistics, it's showing that almost 20 million people. So it's a huge, for a middle income country, you know, 20 million people living in extreme poverty. It's actually shocking because we're in a middle income country. And basically, you see, poverty has got a dynamic, an age dynamic. You see that a number of children are the ones that are affected by poverty, or that are impacted by poverty. It has got also a gender dynamic, where you see that women are mostly the ones that are actually impacted by extreme poverty. And it's quite also said that geographically, people that are in poverty are the ones that are in rural areas, and mostly in your outlying areas like the Limpopo, Eastern Cape, and you know, Northern Cape. Those provinces are actually having or suffering from extreme poverty, which is quite a shocking dynamic there. And if you look at what is happening also globally and in South Africa, there's been low economic growth. That means there hasn't been jobs that have been created. There's been high unemployment, which is around 33%, and which is impacting the youth, the women, specifically the youth and women. And you see that COVID-19 has not, its impacts and its effects are still being felt, especially economically. And you see that there is load shedding. There's been floods that happened in KZN, in Western Cape, and you see that there's been also several natural disasters. Also, you see that there's been lootings that happened, the violence that happened in KZN, in Gauteng, which also did not serve any good, but also add to this poverty that we are actually into. But so as we looked at it as Mama's Alliance, we took all this into consideration to say, what is it that we can sustainably respond in terms of poverty that most of our population are experiencing. So we are a network of 36 independent organizations, and we operate in almost more than 150 sites. We operate in all the provinces, and our good our approach is that we want to to meet those that are basically in need. So the food gardens, we managed to take them, or to take it as an initiative to respond to poverty, especially in the rural areas. So we wanted to, that actually was an initiative that started within the COVID-19 era. You know, we thought about, you know, if we give individuals, or we give the people that are in need, if we only give them food parcels, that is not going to only help. We can feed them for today, but what is going to help them to sustainably actually respond to poverty. So we had to sit down and think of an initiative, and food gardens was one of the best initiatives that we came up with. One, we wanted to promote center gardens where the communities can come together and be able to plant and then be able to sell or to feed the families or to even assist their neighbors and all that. But we also wanted to ensure that all the families who, with just land at their backyard would be able to have a food garden to sufficiently feed themselves. Basically to ensure that they get an income or to save. When they were supposed to buy that the veggies, now they no longer buy, but they can get it from the food garden. To us, that was a success. So we try to actually invest in this initiative in the rural areas and also in the peri-urban areas. And we are seeing the fruits of it, and we are seeing buy-in from the communities. And some communities are actually approaching some of our NGOs to say that we have identified land, we have gotten land from the community councillors. Can you be able to now assist us with training us, giving us the skills, and giving us the support basically that they need for them to start the food gardens? So that's basically what is happening right now within Mama's Alliance.
Thank you for creating that context for us. But let's expand a bit more on your response. This household garden program by Tanda, also supported by the organization Mama's Alliance, has helped over 300 households start their own vegetable gardens. Could you share specific success stories that really demonstrate the positive impact of these initiatives on families and also their communities?
Tanda is actually based in KZN in an area called Twalume. So what Tanda actually does, because Tanda is part of Mama's Alliance network, so we also support Tanda in terms of food gardens. So they work with basically women. Like I mentioned earlier, I said that poverty is mostly affecting women, and so they work with women. Mostly their program is they work with women. They train these women in terms of food gardening. One, they train them for them to have backyard gardens, but what I want to talk about, which has been of great success, was the center garden, where the community, a number of women come in, they have some portions of land into almost like a plot that Tanda has been given by the government, and then the individuals have got portions of land that have been given to them. Tanda supports them with giving them inputs, giving them training, cultivating for them, and then supporting them throughout, from planting, from access to water, access to seedlings, access to all manure, fertilizer, and all that. And what happens beyond that, because we realize that most of the farmers, even when they plant, they cannot access markets. So sometimes we actually, when the season of tomatoes comes, let's say the farmers, they've planted the tomatoes, Tanda will take the tomatoes for the farmers, take them to the market. And once they've been bought at this big market, they actually can give these farmers the share of what they've contributed to this. So what we have seen is that they've gained skills in terms of planting, in terms of agricultural skills, basically. Second, they have actually gained confidence in terms of now they have an income, and now they can actually sustain their families. Third, they are actually able to sell their goods. We have created a market for these women to be able to now sell their goods. And beyond that, we take, our approach to food gardening is not only for income creation, but we want to create an environment where we even now train these women to even be able to look after their families, to prepare a nutritional meal, to be able to send their child to an ECD. So we train them in the importance of education and also the importance of a healthy nutrition, preparing a healthy and nutritional meals. And we also teach them the spirit of Ubuntu, to just give your neighbor when you have excess of these vegetables. Or when there is a funeral in the family, we have seen a number of these women actually donating to people that have experienced maybe a funeral, so which brings all that spirit of Ubuntu. So beyond the food garden, there is a number of barriers that we are breaking, which now we can say that we are leading this community of Mtwalume to being a self-sufficient community.
So, Calisto, you've emphasized Mamas's point around empowering families to grow their own food rather than creating dependency. Also teaching communities to create and also sustain these food gardens, contributing to both food security and community empowerment. Speak to us about Mama's Alliance operating this network of 36 independent grassroots organizations. How does the Alliance facilitate this collaboration between funders and NGOs to really support community-driven initiatives?
Thank you, Nhlanhla. You know, our principle basically has been about promoting a multi-stakeholder approach. Have we not gotten the support from corporate South Africa, from the government, from, parastatals in South Africa, this would not have been a success. So I would like to thank, like our sponsors. We have sponsors like your Old Mutual, Airports Company of South Africa, Old Mutual Insurance, Credit Guarantee, Nestle South Africa, Development Bank of Southern Africa, IDC, and First Rand Bank. There is a number of organizations that have contributed much to the success of these food gardens. So we believe in a multi-stakeholder approach. Like the Sustainable Development Goals, the Global Sustainable Development Goals, they stated that for us to achieve, for people to be taken out of poverty, we need to actually partner from government, non-government organizations, and corporates. And also nationally, even for us to achieve the National Development Goals, we need the National Development priorities according to the National Development Plan. We need a multi-stakeholder approach. So we have taken that into context, and we would like to appreciate the support that we're getting from corporate South Africa, from the government, because most of the times we get land from the government, from the councillors that are supporting this program, and there is a number of corporates that are actually assisting us, a number of organizations, NPOs, that we also partner with that are in the food garden or in the green economy sector and in the agricultural sector.
Calisto, as we wrap up, the CSI agency of Mama's Alliance also aims to really simplify corporate social investment. How does Mama's Alliance then make CSI easier for companies, and what impact does this have on their ability to contribute to community development?
Thank you, Nhlanhla. As Mama's Alliance, as a CSI agency, we work with corporates. We ensure that their CSI goes to where it matters the most. Like in deep rural areas, some corporates may not have even the capacity to go into these deep rural areas. We have the capacity to assist them to go into these deep rural areas. And we have seen that there has been several cuts because of COVID-19. There's been several cuts in CSI budgets. So we assist corporates to say that, even though you have limited budgets, on our side, we are able to conduct due diligence. We are able to actually assist them to fund these organizations, and we go and actually ensure that the organizations that they are funding, we can monitor and evaluate the programs that they are running, and we do this basically for free because we have the support already from our head office, which is in Netherlands. So we support corporates basically to ensure that they deliver their CSI mandate for free. That will actually give them a bit of savings in terms of their budget, and to ensure that whenever they fund, 100% of their costs goes basically to where it matters the most.
Calisto Kondowe, of course, speaking to us about their initiative to promote food gardens as a means to also fight malnutrition in parts of South Africa.